to Lauren Reed Color and our weekly Saturday Snippets feature where we color and chat. Feel free to color along with us as we are doing the Sleepy Time page in Romantic Country by Eriy. You could also color any other page of your choice as you listen to me chat about all sorts of different things, or if you prefer, you can mute my ramblings and just color along. Anyway, before I get into what we are going to be doing, in fact, actually, let me explain what we're going to be doing, and then we will move on to other things like what I've been doing this week. So yeah, this is our page. One moment, let me just move it down a bit. So we have done the background, first with Faber-Castell gelatos, then with my do-it-yourself distress ink using acrylic, not acrylic, gouache and glycerin to fix up the background, and then we are using Prismacolor on the flowers. So that is what we've done so far, and now we are going to move to the foreground of the page, which is this little girl's room. And we're going to start, I always start with backgrounds, so we're going to start with the background wall, and perhaps even start on the wood of this sort of wallpaper. So that's what we're going to do, and for that I am using of course Prismacolors, but I'm also going to be using 2 watercolor pencils. So let me just put this on the side and show you what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to be using 2 White Nights watercolor pencils. If you don't have White Nights, that is perfectly fine. You can use any watercolor pencils in a light and a dark warm gray. So if you have the Abertura, so you can use the warm gray 2 and the warm gray 4. If you have the Goldfarbe watercolor pencils, it's the same colors, and any other watercolor pencil that you have in a warm gray light and a warm gray dark. So that's what we're doing with that. And then after that, I am going to be using Prismacolors, and the colors we're using are black. Yeah. No, is that black? That's not black. Sorry. That's dark umber. Dark umber, 50% warm gray, eggshell. This one is sienna brown, bronze. What color is that? That is putty beige, and this one is seashell pink. So those are the colors that we're going to be using in Prismacolor. But before we do any of that, as I said, I am going to show you what I've been up to this week. First up, I got something very cool in the mail. These are Holbein granulating watercolors. So I saw them on AliExpress. I read all the reviews. Everybody agreed that they're original. And so I decided to buy the little sample pack, thinking to myself that if I like the sample pack and I use the colors in my coloring book, I can always get the larger pack a little bit later, or even the entire pack of tubes. So yeah, that is what I decided to do. And right now I have swatched them out. So these are the colors and these are the swatches, and I had such fun doing this. And all of the paints are granulating. Some are a bit more granulating than others. I know that blues and purples and dark greens tend to granulate more than the lighter colors like the yellows and the pinks, but even the yellows and the pinks are granulating. Here, there's even some separation of colors of the different paints. This one is a pink and it is mixed with white, so it granulates with white, which is really cool. But I think my favorites are these sort of aqua teal colors, and the one that has the gold separation is just out of this world beautiful. So I'm looking forward to using these on my coloring books, probably for backgrounds. Yeah, so I got that, and now let's move on to the pages that I worked on. As always, I'm beginning the month by coloring the little vignette that I have in my coloring planner. So the one that I'm working on is this one. It's called, I'm calling it The House Plant. These vignettes are by Agotapop, and I purchased them from Etsy and stuck them into my coloring planner. And I decided to choose a card at random from Sarah Renee Clark's Color Cube, and this is what came out, and so I have started. The colors on the page are looking a little bit lighter lighter than they are on the card, but it's basically this green color. I'm not sure that you can actually see on camera. They're a bit lighter than they appear on camera. But yeah, so I've started and I have colored these leaves, and then I will move on and color the rest. I'm thinking of making these leaves a greeny gold, and then the flowers will be peach and white, and I still haven't yet decided what I'm going to do with the house, but this is the palette that I will be using. Yeah, so that is my page in my planner. I finished one page this week in Mythomorphia by Kirby Rosannes. If you've seen my completed pages video for June, then you've already seen this page, but I'm showing it again because I really, really love it. So I did the basilisk page. One second, let's take the protective paper off. So this is my basilisk, and this was a buddy color with Amanda from Color Me Tartan, and I really love her page as well. So do check out both my completed pages and her completed pages to see her version. So I colored this with Neocolor 2s in the background, then Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolors for the trees, Derwent Inktense for the rocks that are then shaded with polychromos, and then it's Neocolor basing for the basilisk and shaded with Castle Arts pencils. I'm really, really happy with the way this page came out. I enjoyed coloring it, and it is the fastest double page spread I have ever done. So that's also a bonus. So that is my finished page in Mythomorphia. Another page that I completed is in Rooms of Wonder by Johanna Basford, and I finished coloring the rustic key page. I colored a key every once in a while when I felt like it, and slowly but surely the page got filled up. I'm really happy with the end result. This book is also the book that I am doing for my personal challenge of color for 31 minutes for 31 days in 31 pages. And if you're interested in seeing what I will be doing, there's a video up on the channel explaining all of that. So today is the 4th, and I have so far colored or begun coloring 3 pages. So I thought that I would show you what they are. But first, let me get you the color palettes that I'm using for the pages. So hold on one second. These are the color palettes from Sarah Renee Clark's Color Cube that I'm using for the pages for this challenge. And so I have used this one, and this one. I chose them at random. I also chose pencil sets at random. So basically what I did was I got the pencils, I chose the colors to match the palettes, and then started applying them to the page. I set a timer for 31 minutes and colored using those pencils. So this is what it's looking like so far. Obviously, I'm not going to be finishing them this month because the idea is to just color for 31 minutes on every page that I'm going to be doing this month. So I've made a good start. On this page, I colored the key. I cannot believe that took me 31 minutes. I must have been crazy, but never mind. And on this page, I don't know, it seemed to go a little bit more smoothly. I didn't invest as much time per every element, and I colored the background and the key, and I still got more shading to do. Obviously, the idea is to get it to glow, so we will see if I can do that. And then the next page that I've started coloring is, one moment, this one. Okay, the palette for this one, let me just show you. The palette for this one is that. So I'm using the blue and the really dark blue, I think it's a really dark blue, dark jungle and charcoal colors, which are bluish for the leaves. So that is what I have done so far. And I'm looking forward to seeing how these pages develop over time, but they are not going to be finished anytime soon. I am going to end up with 31 whips. That's okay. I am, convincing myself that it is okay to have 31 whips. Right, so that is what I'm doing in Rooms of Wonder. And I have one final page that I worked on this week in Wild Summer by Joseph Katzenbang. This is a page that is almost finished. I only have one more thing to do on it, and I'm really hoping to finish it this weekend. And the page is this Hippos at play page. I based this with alcohol markers, then I shaded the slides, then I shaded the hippos with Castle Arts pencils, and then what I did was I wanted to try out my acrylic markers from Artex. So I took 2 markers and I shaded the water, and then I took another acrylic paint pen, and I just drew in the water shapes. I think that this is a skill that I still need to work on. I'm not so sure that I'm doing the blending as well as I would like. So something to work on and to practice more. But I am going to do more work with those acrylic markers because I want to do the bushes with the acrylic markers and the moss on the hippos as well. So that is what I'm going to be doing today, later on, in Mythographic Wild Summer by Joseph Katzenbang. Okay, so those are all the things that I did this week, and now let's move on to coloring our Sleepy Time page. Let me begin by just explaining a couple of things that I'm going to be doing for the page. So as you can see, the page has some light sources. So we've got these 2 candles and this lamp on the bedside table over here. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to have sort of a lighter area in the middle where these candles are and over here, and then darker on the edges. So for that, I'm going to start off by first putting a layer of the light gray watercolor on everything. Then I will shade a little bit with the dark watercolor, and then I will also be putting down some eggshell for the glow of the candles and the lamp. Okay, so because we've got those light sources. So that is what I'm going to be doing. Now, if you don't want to use watercolor mediums, that's also fine. You do not have to. You can just use the warm gray. You can, first of all, start with the eggshell, then use the putty beige and the French Grey 50 and do exactly the same thing. So first I would start with the eggshell to put down the light source glow, then the putty beige, a light layer, and then shading with the 50% warm gray, okay? I am doing the watercolor layer first because I find that in this book, if you put a water medium down first, then the pencils have more grip because the paper in this book is super smooth. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. And now we can also begin the chatty portion. Okay, 1 second. Let me just move the page a bit so I can see what I'm doing. Right. So welcome everybody. I hope that you have all had a good week. It is July. I cannot believe how quickly time has just flown by, but it definitely has. At work, the semester is at an end. Thank goodness, I'm tired. And I'm tired, the students are tired, everybody's tired. So, 1 second. So my students had their final exam. Well, one of my groups had their final exam. I have other exams later on actually this coming week. I have a final exam in my poetry course next Thursday, and the 20th century literature course has their exam the following week, like not next week, but the week after that. But this week was my engineering students had their writing exam. So throughout the semester, I taught them writing. Okay, so I just want to stop here for a second. Here around this light source, I am going to put this color, but really lightly, like barely touching the page. Okay, let me just do that. Okay, and then here you can go a bit darker. So they had their writing exam, and that exam was at the beginning of the week, and I spent the rest of the week marking all of their essays, 67 in total. I am very proud of myself, but that was a lot of marking. So that's what I did in terms of work. And next week, obviously, well, next week I get a bit of a break until Thursday when there's the poetry exam, so I'll be able to do more coloring. And it's actually quiet at home because the assistant, my roommate, just again, very lightly here has gone to visit her parents. So it's really quiet at home. It's just me. And, oops, sorry about that. Hold on one second. Let me bump the camera. I have to always make sure that I've got you on camera. Yeah, so it's quiet and I've been filming videos for the channel. I did my completed pages video. I did my coloring plans video, which will be up on the channel Monday. I've also got some plans. I want to record an update on my project books, which I will also be doing this month. I want to record the mid-year check-in video, so I can give you all an update of, how the first 6 months of the year have been. Sorry about that. I had a bit of a frog in my throat. So I have that book by Jane Madej that I want to do a flip through for and a paper test for. What else do I want to do on the channel? And then, of course, there are the usual Saturday snippets and perhaps a tag. Oh, yes, I want to do the Dream Team tag that Shelley from Shell's Coloring Journey developed. I think that'll be fun. I have it all planned out. I've looked at the questions, I've chosen my tools, and I just have to film the video. Okay, so that is our first layer of watercolor pencil, and now I'm going to take the slightly darker watercolor pencil and just put in the shading. Okay, so we're going to avoid the area around the candle and the lamp because we're going to have a glow here, okay, and here, and then the glow is sort of going to spread out, but these areas will be darker. Okay. So here will be darker, we'll also put this a little bit here because I want to make this appear like it's a little bit forward because it's like a wood panel. We're going to make it look like a wood panel, and then of course there's the shadow that the window is casting and the bed. Okay, so the light hits this and this casts a shadow onto that area. Okay, and it's also going to cast a shadow there. Okay, all right, and then we can also put some shadow here. Oh. And also some shadow over here and around her head. Yeah, okay, so yeah, that was my work week. A couple of people have asked me for updates on various animal stories that I've been talking about on the channel, so I thought I would just tell you what's been going on. First of all, one of my subscribers, the lovely Teresa, in one of her comments, gave me an update on Gracie the giraffe, because she hasn't really been in the news, Gracie the giraffe, but Teresa lives very near, no, what am I doing? This needs to have a glow. Oops, sorry about that. Sometimes I forget, but that's okay. Let's just put back this color. Okay. All right, yeah, that's gonna have a glow. So just let's put it here. Yeah, so Teresa lives very near to where Gracie the giraffe made her escape, and then she was found, and then Teresa was telling me, obviously in their local news they've been talking about it, because I haven't seen any other updates anywhere else. So Teresa was telling me that they had a plan they needed to relocate Gracie back to the zoo. And in order to do that, they needed to sedate her and, get transportation and all of that. And there was a whole plan in place for doing that. And then this week, Teresa told me that it has been accomplished, and Gracie, the giraffe, is back at her zoo, safe and sound, for which I'm very, very happy. I still don't understand how you lose a giraffe. Anyway, so that's Gracie, the giraffe. Okay. One other, Tiku from Tiku's Coloring Corner asked for an update on the Amazon driver who stole the cat. Or, as this Amazon driver has said, he didn't steal the cat, it's his cat. So I went and I tried to find an update for that story, but there's nothing available. So I am just assuming that there's going to be a court case, I think, to determine custody of this cat. So that's probably going to take some time. So I'm hoping at some point we will get an update on what has happened with the custody battle over the cat. And then another story that I was talking about on the channel. Okay, I just want to make sure that I do not, put too much shading there, because the light is going to be there. And of course, once you activate watercolor of any kind, even watercolor pencil, it's going to dry lighter. So keep that in mind as well. We will be deepening up shadows with the pencils. So another story that I was talking about on the channel was about the lady who's having an argument with her homeowners association over the cat houses. So last week, Karen said to me that I shouldn't call them cat houses because that has a completely different meaning, but they're still houses for cats. Anyway, so yeah, they're houses for cats. And the Homeowners Association said that, just to recap the story, that the houses were attracting skunks, but the lady said that's not true because the skunks were there before the cat houses, the houses for cats, put in an appearance. And anyway, so the report from the pest control expert that they had to come and have a look said that they should try putting on porch lights to scare the skunks away. So the homeowner said, okay, she's got no problem with that. And the Homeowners Association said that they were also okay with that. And so she installed porch lights. And let me tell you that neither the skunks nor the cats are at all perturbed by the porch lights. So the skunks are still there. They are still digging. The cats are still there with their houses. And I think the Homeowners Association is just going to have to deal with it. All I'm doing now is blending out the warmer gray a little bit. Yes, so that is the updates on the animal stories. And in the future, if I tell more animal stories, which I will because I've got a whole bunch to tell you about from today or from this week where I was seeing them on threads, I will keep you updated on whatever happens. So let's move on to this week's animal stories. There is an elephant seal named Neil the Seal in Tasmania. Now, he is a juvenile elephant seal, and from reading the threads and hearing people talk about Neil the Seal, it seems that elephant seals come onto land once a year to shed their coat. They have a coat, they shed it, and it's called molting, and it is currently molting season. And Neil the seal has decided that the perfect place to molt or shed his coat is in Tasmania. And he is rubbing himself all over things and being completely destructive and chaotic. But people love him. People are filming him. People have been warned not to get too close because, you know, he's huge, huge. They can weigh hundreds of tons. Hundreds of tons? Yeah. I think I will look it up and put on the screen exactly how much Neil the seal weighs and how large an elephant seal can get. But they can get really big. So people have been warned, you know, he doesn't seem to be aggressive, but, you know, he's a really large animal, and people need to be careful not to get too close to him. So he's causing havoc. He's knocking over things. He's destroying road signs and all sorts of things in his eagerness to get rid of his coat. Okay, so there we have it. We have our layer of watercolor pencil, and now I'm just going to get my water brush and we will activate this. Let me just get also a cloth. Do I have enough water? Yeah, I have enough water. Okay, I'm just squeezing some water out and making sure I don't have any paint from a previous project. I do. This water brush is looking really, I think it's coming to an end, this brush. But it's my favorite brush. Oh, let's move that as well. It got stuck. Okay, so you start from the light area and then you go to the dark. Okay, and every once in a while you can dab your brush off. Right, and again in the light area and into the dark. Don't worry if it gets a bit streaky, because it's fine. It will be blended out with the Prismacolors, but also it's good to have texture on the page as well. So don't worry if it looks a little bit streaky at any point. Yeah, so that's Neil the seal. Then I've also been watching, it's been so heartbreaking watching what's going on in the aftermath of the terrible earthquake in Venezuela. Just horrific. I was watching, they're starting to post footage of like security cameras. So first let me talk about the animals, and then I will talk about what I saw with the earthquake. Just awful. So a lot of my feed is the earthquake, and mainly animal videos, animal rescue videos. It's just both heartbreaking and heartwarming. People are just being so amazing. The rescue workers are just doing an incredible job, and they're rescuing people and animals, and just so because I like animal posts and videos, I'm getting mainly videos of the animal rescues, and they make me cry. I'm starting to tear up already, so I will try not to cry. So there was one, I find it really interesting how the animals are reacting. So there was one really sweet one. They rescued I think it's some sort of poodle. And as soon as it was out, it started licking the face of the fireman. It was so adorable, so grateful. They're just, and then in contrast, they rescued a cat who didn't seem at all pleased to be manhandled. It was yowling its head off and trying to get away. I think it just didn't get it that they were trying to help it. Okay, so now we're going to wait for that to dry a little bit. And while that is drying, we are going to do under the bed. Now, under the bed, that's basically carpet. Do I want to do it the same color as the walls? No, I don't think so. We're not going to do that, or are we going? I think I might do it the same base layer. So I'm going to use the watercolor pencil, the dark warm gray color, okay, just to do the floor. But I think when we shade, we might shade it a different color than the wall. This has got to dry. Yeah, so yes, I've been watching those videos and posts on Threads, seeing them on Threads. And another thing that I was seeing with in regards to the earthquake is that, as I said, they're slowly starting to find and post footage from security cameras of the actual moment of the earthquake, and terrifying, just absolutely terrifying. I saw one earlier, a man who was filming. He obviously lived in a building that was shaking they were all shaking during the earthquake, and he was filming his descent as he went down floor by floor. So I think he started on something like perhaps the 14th or 15th floor of his building, and the floor where he started out didn't have that much damage, but the further he went down in the building, down the stairs, you started to see the damage. When he got to the bottom, he had to the bottom 4 or 5 floors, he had to start climbing over debris. And then there was another one that I saw on Thursday, where it was a security camera from a building, and you could see, first of all, the ground cracking open. Wow, that's just so scary. People were escaping from the building. I think the building that they escaped from is intact, but in the footage you can see the building across the road collapsing. So yeah, here we also have earthquakes here. Right now we have really small ones. Like every once in a while on the news, there'll be that there was a 3 or a 2. And did you feel it? I don't always feel it. I think it depends how high up in the building you are. If you're higher up in the building, you feel them more. And we live on the first floor. So when there's a tremor, we don't really feel them. We live on it's called the Syrian-African divide. It created the Dead Sea. It created the Sea of the Galilee. So we do get earthquakes, but we haven't had a serious earthquake here. I think the last one, first of all, the last one wasn't even in this part of the country. It was down south in Eilat, and the epicenter was in the Red Sea. So we felt that one. I think it was a 9, but it was way in the middle of the sea, but we felt it. I was at work. It was 1994, I think. 1994. It was after. It was before I went to university, so it was, I think, 1994. And but I was working, and I was at work, and we felt really dizzy, and the building shook a little bit. And I live in the north of Israel, and this earthquake was in Eilat, which is the bottom of the country in the south. So that's how strong this earthquake was. And there was quite a lot of damage in the city of Eilat and in Aqaba in Jordan, and in some places in Egypt as well, if I remember correctly. So that was the last big earthquake we had. But we've got, we have an app to warn us. Okay, so that is the bottom of that's under the bed. Not sure yet if we will do it the same color as the wall. Is this dry? This is dry. Okay, so now that this part is dry, we can start shading with pencils. So the pencils that I'm going to be using once more are, for this, we're going to use eggshell, putty beige, a warm gray 50%, and maybe some seashell pink. We'll see. But we're going to start off with the eggshell. And I'm just going to put in the glow around the candles, okay? Now, basically, to get the glow around the candle, you've got to leave it very light and then go progressively darker. So that will get you the glow. Now, I know a lot of people draw in circles, but I feel that circles are not a good shape. It creates too harsh of a circle around. And so I just take my pencil and I very lightly shade around, and I don't necessarily actually make a circle. Okay. Yeah, so as I said, we also get earthquakes, but not nearly as bad. But I heard on the news that it had been a long time in Venezuela since their last earthquake. And this is the worst earthquake I think they've ever had. So, yeah, they keep telling us here that we're overdue for one. Oh. Anyway, we just have to be. Our building was built in 1980. It does not meet the earthquake standards that they have now for construction. So there are a lot of old buildings. I mean, we have buildings that are centuries old. Mine is not centuries old, but there are buildings that are centuries old. Actually, the centuries old buildings are actually built quite well. But we have buildings that are really old. And my building is really old, and the municipality has said that there are programs to shore up buildings, to bring them sort of up to earthquake codes. Now, some of the buildings you can do this to, and others you cannot. And unfortunately, our building is one of those buildings that cannot be brought up to code. It has to actually be demolished and rebuilt. So there's a program. It's it's funded partially by the government, but also the contractors fund it. So it's basically if you own your apartment, you own the land that the apartment is on, okay? And there's a significant shortage of housing. So what happens is, what they want to do is they want to tear down the building, okay, and then build a new building that is taller. So my current building is 8 floors, and when they are done, it will have 25 floors, okay? And you don't pay anything. Like me, the homeowner, I don't pay anything. The contractor tears down the building, builds a new one. I get a new apartment, which is really nice. And then they sell all of the additional apartments, and that pays for everything. That's the way it works. It's a long process. It takes a really long time. So don't worry, I'm not relocating anytime soon. The whole process takes about 8 years, and we started this process about 4 years ago. You need to get, permissions, and the building's got to be designed. The tenants have to get a lawyer, their documents to sign, all of the, we are going into the 4th year, and we are at the stage of the building is planned, the designs are in, the architecture is in, the apartments have been designed. We're way past all of that. We are in the stage where we have to get government approval for everything. And according to the people who are in charge of this project, it can take a year. So we're hoping that by May of next year, we will be moving out. And what they do is they find you an alternate apartment to live in while your new building is under construction. and they pay the rent, which is really cool. Anyway, so that's slowly but surely happening. I'm not moving anytime soon, though. It's going to take time to get the government approval. It will take time to move us all out and all of that. So I will keep you updated on that project. Okay, just one second. I just want to concentrate so that I don't go too far into my area where I want to keep my highlight for the light source. Yeah, so really, really sad seeing what's going on there. But people are being just wonderful. They're the rescuers, the people, it gives you hope for humanity. What else did I see? In terms of, okay, now I must be careful. I mustn't do what I did before and put, oh, yes, let's get our eggshell back because I want to put also the same glow around this lamp. What else did I see on Threads? So, other animal stories. All right, that's that. Let's just darken up a little bit there. And around the headboard, like that, and her head. Just very lightly here because there's the glow from the candles. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is take the putty beige and just blend that out. I think I did it already there, but I can put another layer. Okay. So yeah, other animal videos I saw. So there was a lady whose dog was missing in Mexico. And she saw her dog on the news because it was celebrating with the Mexican. It was celebrating the World Cup with some Mexican fans. So she rushed over to where they were celebrating, and she got her dog back. That's so funny. It was celebrating. Yeah, and that was funny. And then there was the cat who was doing pottery. So there was this girl, she was doing pottery and she had a kitten on her lap and she kept, saying to the kitten, no, don't do that, because the kitten was trying to, touch the clay and putting his paw into the clay. And she's like, no, don't do that. And he's like, of course I'm going to do it. What are you talking about? I'm a kitten. And I saw yesterday morning, I saw another post that there is a new world record for a cat with the most number of toes, 18. All I can say is that he has extra toe beans. I love toe beans. They're so cute. So he has lots and lots of toe beans. Beautiful cat. It's a genetic phenomenon and it does not affect the animal's health at all. The animal is perfectly healthy and now is in the Guinness Book of World Records. What else did I see? Oh, what did I see? Oh, and there is more book drama. So in terms of my reading, I am still reading. I'm almost finished. Book number 3 in the Dragon Heart Legacy by Nora Roberts. Unfortunately, the book was... it was boring. I'm sorry to say it. It was boring. I want to know what happens. I'm only finishing it because I read the first 2 books. I want to know what happens. And every once in a while, there's like a burst of action that's exciting and interesting. And I'm engrossed. And then it goes back to descriptions of wedding plans. Anyway, I wish Nora wouldn't do that. Okay. So let's have a look. Do I want to shade some more? Yes, let's shade. I might even get a darker color and shade a little bit darker. But maybe we will leave. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do that. I am going to shade one more time with this color, which is the warm gray. And then I'm going to blend it out, and then I'm going to leave it, and then I will color the rest of the elements on the page. And then if I see that it needs more shading, I will come back and do more shading. Because sometimes the once you've colored the other elements, the shading becomes a bit more apparent. So, I don't want to overdo it. So, yeah, so I'm still reading that book. I'm almost done, and I'm halfway through my audiobook, which is An Evil Heart by Linda Castillo. But on Threads, there's more book drama. So I talked last time, or the time before, I can't remember, about the lady who tried to copyright the phrase "hot girls read." Yeah, that's over and done with. She withdrew her her trademark, because you cannot trademark a commonly used phrase. But now there's a lady, an author, and from what, I'm not giving any names. If you're interested, you can look it up on Threads. But there's a lady, an author, who, from what I understand, she's not a new author. She's quite a well-established author. To be honest, I have not read any of her books. She doesn't write in a genre that I really read. She writes women's fiction. Okay, now I do read some women's fiction, but not the kind that she's written. Like, I think the last women's fiction book that I read and actually enjoyed was Big Little Lies. Brilliant book, highly recommended. But I think half of the reason I love that book is it's got a mystery in it. I'm thinking maybe let's take the seashell pink as well and blend out. Oh yes, I think that's a good color. It will help our glow. It's a yellowy beigey color, so it should help our candle glow. Yeah, so she writes women's fiction, and I don't really read that much women's fiction. But she, from what I understand, is not a new author. She's quite well known. Anyway, she published a book, her new book, and it is set in a town that is quite identifiable. So it's supposed to be a fictitious town, but obviously the people in this town recognize their town. And when she was doing a reading and a signing event for her book, people from the town arrived and became very vocal and, were disruptive. Okay, and they were removed. Fair enough. But then what happened is that other people, not the people who disrupted the signing, which is completely unacceptable, but other people who read the book didn't like the book and gave it bad reviews, like 1 and 2 star reviews. And this author does not understand that reviews are for readers. They are not for authors, and authors need to stay out of reviewer spaces. It is not for them, and they definitely should not start to get into arguments with reviewers. And this author has forgotten that golden rule. Not only did she start to get into arguments with these reviewers, but she doxed people, which is totally unacceptable. And when she's been picked out about it, she's doubling down. She's now doxing the people who have told her not to dox anyone. And this is just out of control. She doxed people. She wrote, I don't understand the logic of this, but she wrote an email to their employers telling them that they read her book and gave it one star review. First of all, do the employers care? what their employees do in their private time is none of their business. And not only that, they're not doing anything illegal or immoral or unacceptable. And there's no call for, doing that. So that is the latest book threads drama. There's book threads drama every week, a new one every week. Anyway, I don't know. Right now, the lady who has done this, she has the authors. She has made her threads private, which might be a good thing because, it will hopefully die down. And people will move on to the next drama. Yes, I'm so grateful coloring does not have drama. Oh, I like this. I think this has come out really nicely. I like our glow. The glow will be far more apparent once all of the rest of the page is colored, by the way. Do I want to put some of the seashell pink? The seashell pink was a very good choice. What else did I see? Trying to think what else happened. Oh, I'm still watching American Monster, but I took a break last weekend to watch Sanditon. Okay, so Sanditon is it's based on a novel. Okay, so Jane Austen, in addition to writing Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility and Persuasion, and I think she wrote Emma, she wrote Northanger Abbey, Persuasion, Emma, Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, Northanger Abbey. I'm missing one. She wrote 6 books. I can't remember the 6th book. But before she died, she also began writing another novel called Sanditon. She wrote something like 20,000 words, and then she sadly passed away. And it was never finished. So I think is it BBC? ITV? Either BBC or ITV, I can't remember which one, or PBS. Never mind. They adapted what she wrote, and then Andrew Davies, who is the screenwriter for Downton Abbey, he he completed it, and he wrote, a screenplay for the rest. And then they filmed it. Okay, and I started watching. First of all, it's good. I enjoyed it. It's good. The acting is good. The story is okay, but I have some issues with it. But I do want to say that I enjoyed it, and I'm going to continue watching the second season. I finished the first season. So, first of all, it doesn't really have a Jane Austen-like tone to it. All right, let's move on to something else on this page. Let's start with the wood. Okay, so for the wood, I am going to start, in order to get a cohesive look to the page, I am going to start with a base layer of the seashell pink. All right, so we're doing this. Okay, so I'm just going to talk about this, and then I think that will be done for today. So it doesn't have a Jane Austen tone to it. It has more of a Dickens tone. It's set in Regency England, but the way people behave and the themes that are in the show are more Dickensian than Austen. So there's a lot of social commentary. And while Jane Austen did have social commentary in her books, it was more satire and irony, comedic and making fun. Whereas Dickens is a lot more realistic and gritty and dark. And now we're moving on to the bronze. Okay, bronze. Less humor and more strong social criticism. And the tone of the show is more of that and less of the humor. Jane Austen's novels are really funny. They're really humorous. I mean, yeah, there are dark themes and there's social critique, but it's all quite humorous. So I'm thinking that Andrew Davies did not get the tone of Jane Austen right. But it's still good. I'm still enjoying it. And I will watch season 2. And now we're going to use the sienna brown. Okay, now this is a wood panel. You can, if you want, put wood grain into it, but I'm not going to do that. I think the page is busy enough without needing wood grain. So I'm not doing that. Yeah, so I watched that, and I will watch the next season. There are 3 seasons. So I'm looking forward to watching more of that. Okay, I think we're almost done with this. What else did I do? Oh, yes. Oh, and speaking of Jane Austen, I saw the trailer for the new adaptation of Sense and Sensibility. It looks really good. Sense and Sensibility is not one of my favorite. My favorite Jane Austen novel is Persuasion. And it's also the original adaptation with Kieran Hines is my favorite Jane Austen adaptation as well. I mean, I love Pride. I love Pride and Prejudice. I love the one with Colin Firth. Wait, no, wrong color. It's seashell pink. We're just blending out. I love the adaptation with Colin Firth because I love Colin Firth. He's amazing. But that adaptation with Kieran Hines of Persuasion is my favorite adaptation of a Jane Austen novel. And I also really like the other adaptations, not the newest one. The newest one is I'm removing it from my repertoire of shows. Yeah, okay. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the new adaptation of Sense and Sensibility. All right, so that's it, I think, for today. We have colored the wall behind the bed. We did the wood panel behind the bed. And next time we will continue coloring the other elements on the page. I'm not sure if I'm going to be basing with watercolor pencils for the other elements. We will see how it goes once we start coloring. Okay, so thank you everybody for joining me for today's Saturday Snippets. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that my rambling wasn't too much. And I hope to see you all again next week for our next Saturday Snippets. Bye for now.